It started with a birthday card that never arrived and ended with a federal investigation. Emma Reynolds had only lived in the Lakeside Ridge neighborhood for 3 months when the strange incidents began. Her sister sent her a birthday card with a gift card inside. It never arrived. A package of handmade soaps she ordered online showed as delivered, yet never reached her doorstep. A replacement debit card was supposedly mailed by the bank but vanished into thin air. At first, Emma chalked it up to typical postal mishaps. She was busy settling into her new job as a school teacher and didn't want to assume the worst. Besides, this neighborhood had a beautiful park, friendly faces, and a very strict Homeowners Association. Still, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. One morning, while walking her dog Pepper, her elderly neighbor, Mr. Jeffers, called out from his porch. "Hey, Emma, I think Karen picked up a package off your porch yesterday. I figured it was hers at first, but when I looked closer, it had your name." Emma stopped. Karen? The HOA president? The same woman who welcomed her with a list of compliance violations before she'd even unpacked? That Karen? She tried not to jump to conclusions. Maybe Karen had just been trying to help. Maybe the package looked out of place and she was being neighborly. But as more days passed and more mail went missing, Emma grew suspicious. When she bumped into Karen near the community garden, she asked politely, "Have you seen any packages at my house? A few have gone missing." Karen smiled tightly. "Oh, yes. I grabbed one for you last week. It was left in the open, so I moved it to your side door." "You're welcome." Emma checked the side door. Nothing. Not even a note. Her gut twisted. She didn't want to accuse anyone, but the evidence was piling up, and it pointed in one direction. What had seemed like a few odd coincidences were starting to form a disturbing pattern. Emma realized this wasn't just about a missing card or package. Something more serious could be going on, and it might be time to find out the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it got. The thief wasn't hiding. She was pretending to help. Over the next few weeks, Emma kept a closer eye on her porch, her mailbox, and her neighborhood in general. Every time she received a shipping confirmation, she checked obsessively. But still, things went missing. Small Amazon parcels, a letter from her grandmother, even a prescription refill that was critical for her allergies. Karen, always out and about in her pastel tracksuits, continued playing the helpful neighbor role. She'd wave at everyone as she slowly drove her golf cart around the cul-de-sac, clipboard in hand, pretending to inspect lawns and fences. Emma began to notice Karen frequently lingering near people's mailboxes and porches. When Emma asked, again about a missing water bill, Karen gave the same type of response. "Oh, I think I saw it the other day. Maybe it blew away, or someone took it by mistake." She never seemed worried, just dismissive. One afternoon, Emma spoke with her next-door neighbor, Linda, a kind woman with 2 young kids. When Emma mentioned her missing packages, Linda looked surprised. "Wait, seriously? The same thing happened to us last month. Twice. We thought it was just bad luck." She hesitated, then whispered, "But I did once see Karen flipping through our mailbox. She claimed she was checking for spiders. I mean, who does that?" That's when it clicked. Emma wasn't alone. It wasn't just her mail disappearing. It was happening to multiple people, and no one was reporting it. Emma started asking around quietly. The Gonzalez family said their tax refund never came. Mrs. Liu lost a small medical package. The Hernandez family never received their new car registration tags. When they tried to ask Karen for help, she brushed it off, or threatened HOA fines for uncooperative attitudes. Now Emma was certain. This wasn't incompetence. This was intentional. Karen was stealing from her neighbors and using her position to intimidate them into silence. The mail system is protected for a reason, and if Karen was interfering with it, it wasn't just a community issue, it was a federal one. Emma knew. She had to act, not with anger, with facts, and with the right people involved. Everyone had a story, but no one dared speak out. As Emma quietly talked to more neighbors, a chilling realization took hold. Karen's behavior wasn't new. It had been going on for years. People were just too afraid to speak up. In her role as self-appointed HOA president, Karen held a disturbing amount of power. "She fined us for putting wind chimes on our porch," one neighbor said. "She called them unauthorized noise devices. She once told me my kid's bike was clutter and had it removed from the lawn," said another. Emma listened and took notes. It was more than controlling behavior. It was domination, disguised as community service. And now, with missing mail involved, it had crossed into something far more serious. When Emma mentioned the idea of reporting Karen, several neighbors looked shocked. "You can't go against her," one whispered. "She'll make your life miserable." But Emma was done being afraid. She created a private group chat with the neighbors she trusted most. She asked if they'd be willing to document their experiences. Slowly, they began to share screenshots of missing deliveries, notes from Karen, and even security cam footage of her hovering near mailboxes. It was enough to form a timeline. Then came the moment Emma couldn't ignore. A neighbor showed her a clip from their doorbell camera. It showed Karen walking directly to their mailbox, opening it, removing an envelope, glancing at it, and slipping it into her bag. No hesitation. Emma took a deep breath. That wasn't just HOA drama, that was mail theft, a federal offense under U.S. law. It was time to take the next step, not to the HOA, not to local law enforcement. She was going to the Postal Inspection Service. Tampering with mail isn't just wrong, it's a federal crime. Emma reached out to the United States Postal Inspection Service, USPIS, the law enforcement branch of the U.S. Postal Service, responsible for investigating mail crimes. She filed a complaint online, attaching the footage, screenshots, and a detailed timeline. She expected it to be weeks before she heard back. To her surprise, she received a call 2 days later. The man introduced himself as Inspector Carter, calm but firm. "Emma, based on what you've shared, this is a serious matter. Mail theft is a federal crime. We'd like to investigate further." Emma explained everything she knew, from the disappearing mail to Karen's suspicious explanations. Carter asked pointed questions. Had she received threats? Was Karen ever seen taking envelopes directly from the mailbox? Were other neighbors involved? When Emma confirmed, Carter paused. "We've been seeing more of these cases in HOA neighborhoods. Sometimes people in power feel untouchable. But no one is above the law, especially not when it comes to federal mail." He proposed something Emma didn't expect, a sting operation. "We're going to send a decoy package to your address. Inside will be a tracker. If she takes it, we'll know, and we'll be ready." Emma agreed, her heart racing. It was surreal, setting a trap for the same woman who'd lectured her about acceptable mailbox paint colors. But she wasn't just dealing with a difficult neighbor. She was dealing with a criminal. Within days, the plan was in motion. A small package, harmless-looking, was prepared with internal tracking and surveillance. It was shipped with standard labeling. Designed to blend in, Emma just had to wait and hope that the person stealing from her would fall right into the trap. The next package wasn't real, but the consequences would be. It was a crisp Thursday morning when the bait package arrived. Emma stood behind her living room curtain, pretending to go about her day. The small brown box, sent by the USPIS, was marked just like any other Amazon delivery. But inside, it carried more than bubble wrap. It carried a federal tracking device and a hidden camera chip embedded in the shipping label. Emma had followed Agent Carter's instructions perfectly. She left the package sitting visibly on her doorstep, made sure she wasn't outside to collect it, and kept her security camera system quietly rolling. 39 minutes later, Karen made her move. She strolled up the street in her usual pink velour tracksuit, her small dog in one hand and clipboard in the other. As she approached Emma's home, she looked around, not knowing she was already being watched from multiple angles. Karen casually bent down, picked up the package, tucked it under her arm, and walked off like it was hers. Emma's heart pounded, even though she'd expected it. Within minutes, the tracker showed the package moving, not to a neighbor's porch, not to the HOA office, but straight into Karen's garage. She didn't know federal agents were watching the GPS. She didn't know Inspector Carter was already parked 2 streets away. She didn't know this was no longer a neighborhood spat. This was now evidence in a federal mail theft investigation. Later that night, Emma received a call. Package confirmed. "We've got what we need," Carter said. Emma exhaled, feeling a mix of relief and nerves. "So what happens now?" "We're preparing a warrant. It'll be handled professionally. We'll take it from here." Karen had no idea her next morning would begin with more than a neighborhood walk. She was about to be introduced to the federal side of justice, the one that doesn't care how many rules you've written for lawn heights or mailbox decorations. You could hear the handcuffs before the scream. The neighborhood awoke to flashing lights and the sound of a firm knock on Karen's front door. 2 unmarked vehicles were parked out front, along with a USPS inspection service van. It wasn't local police. It was the feds. Karen opened the door wearing slippers and a silk robe, her expression twisting from confusion to fear as a badge was shown. "Karen Bennett, you are under investigation for mail theft and tampering with federal property," Inspector Carter stated calmly. "We have video surveillance, GPS tracking, and multiple witness statements. We're executing a search warrant on your property." Neighbors watched from their windows, phones recording discreetly. Karen protested, claiming it was a misunderstanding. "I was only keeping things safe. I was trying to help." But no one was buying it. Agents entered the home and emerged with damning evidence. Stacks of mail with other people's names, opened envelopes, unused gift cards, and packages hidden behind stored HOA files in the garage. Some items were over a year old. When they placed her in handcuffs, she shrieked, "You can't do this! I'm the president of the HOA!" One officer responded, "Not anymore." Emma stood across the street watching in stunned silence. She wasn't happy, just relieved. The woman who had abused her power, stolen from neighbors, and gaslit the entire community was finally being held accountable. Karen was taken away in a federal vehicle, not to jail, but to a federal holding facility where her charges would be processed under federal law. This wasn't just a slap on the wrist. She was facing multiple felony charges. Emma looked around. Neighbors were gathering, whispering, some even hugging. It was as if a weight had been lifted off the entire block. For the first time since moving in, Emma felt like her neighborhood might finally be a real community, not just a place policed by a self-appointed tyrant in a pink tracksuit. You see. When the tyrant fell, the neighborhood rose. With Karen gone, Lakeside Ridge felt different, lighter, freer, like a shadow had finally been lifted. The HOA board held an emergency meeting and removed her from all positions permanently. Several board members, once too scared to speak up, resigned in shame. Others stayed to rebuild trust. Emma was asked to serve as an interim board advisor, not because she wanted power, but because her courage had helped reveal a hidden truth. She accepted on one condition: the HOA would no longer operate like a dictatorship. They would serve the people, not control them. The changes came swiftly. The neighborhood voted to reduce HOA authority, introduce accountability measures, and require all board decisions to be made publicly. The community even set up a neighborhood watch, not for lawns or garbage cans, but for safety, fairness, and support. As for Karen, she was indicted on 3 felony counts: mail theft, tampering with federal property, and obstruction. She was sentenced to 18 months of probation, 120 hours of community service, and a permanent mark on her record. She moved out shortly after, her once pristine reputation shattered beyond repair. Emma kept the official letter from the USPS framed in her living room. It read, "Thank you for assisting in the resolution of an ongoing federal mail investigation. Your cooperation helped protect others and restore integrity to the community." To Emma, it was more than a certificate. It was proof that no one, not even a tyrannical HOA president, was above the law. What started with a missing birthday card ended with justice, community, and a powerful reminder. When someone tries to silence, you speak louder. When they take from you, stand taller. And sometimes the best way to handle a Karen is to let the feds do it for you.